I imagine that I'm not seeing as many wonderfully beautiful blurring colors as you all are right now.
It's yeah, the bus. You can probably see the bus cam right now. It's dark, so we just got big blobs of black with a big dead bug in the middle.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you on your way from Tucson, from Vegas back to Tucson?
I think we're actually going from Tucson to Vegas again now because we've already got 2 points. So
congratulations.
Well, thank you. And actually, this is I have the luxury of having the more exciting shift right now because I get both a bug splatter and an arrival on the same shift. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of like too much excitement for one person to handle. Do you have like a paramedic team standing by?
We really should have called in the St. John's ambulance for this. That's a good point.
I have first aid.
Oh, okay. We have a couple people trained here. Okay, we have a couple here trained with first aid, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I should preface this whole thing just by saying that due to awkward planning, we might be getting a phone call in the next half hour with a Subway informing us that our dinner order is ready. But the dinner order was purchased by Teller of Penn & Teller, so that's pretty awesome.
Well, that's very nice of him.
So, but that's on the same phone. So,
thank you, Charlie.
I might have to put you on hold for Subway.
Never gonna be able to say that again.
Yeah.
Don't mean.
So we got some questions.
Damn Subway! I'm always upstaged by Subway.
It's yeah. It's, you know, what can I say? The business.
It's all right. I'm sure that now I join a large number of people who kind of want to give Jared a wedgie. A wedgie in the business.
If at all possible, yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we have a bunch of questions from our blog. People are really excited to hear from you. So let's just start at the beginning. Question, someone here says, I think the obvious question is, how do you feel about the new Star Trek film?
I am cautiously optimistic about the new Star Trek film.
So are we.
I know slightly more than the average person knows because I've talked to a few people that are involved in production. And from what I understand, the story itself sounds intriguing. I just saw the trailer, though, and I hated it. I really, really hated the trailer, and I was ready to like really go on this, you know, awful nerd rant about how much I hated it. But after about a day of careful consideration, I realized that you know, the new Star Trek movie, they're not making it for people like me, and they're not making it for people who grew up with either the original series or Next Generation or you know, any of the other shows. They're making this movie for my kids' generation, and my kids' generation have grown up watching sci-fi action movies. You know, they've grown up watching movies like Chronicles of Riddick and I, Robot, and these things they're basically action movies with laser guns instead of machine guns. And I think that in order to appeal to that audience, they have to market the film that way. So what I saw in the trailer that I didn't like was this looked like just another mindless, boring, stupid action movie with Star Trek, you know, kind of like dressed up like Star Trek. But I'm really, really hoping, because I do know what the story is about, I'm really hoping that what we ultimately see in theaters will be more like a updated version of Star Trek and less like a sci-fi action movie in a Star Trek costume.
Mm-hmm. I think what we're because of course we've all discussed this extensively. What we're hoping is that's the trailer to get people into the theater who don't really care at all about Star Trek, and hopefully they're sort of picking and choosing the explosions and sex bits to put into the trailer using the Roger Corman technique.
A friend of mine observed that the trailer wasn't really meant to be watched in a theater. It was meant to be freeze-framed and dissected on the internet.
True. We may have also done that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, seeing the Enterprise clearly being constructed in atmosphere really annoys me. Now, there's some disagreement about this among the nerds I've talked to. Some people say, look, man, it was the Enterprise A through D that were all built in orbit around Mars, and the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, which would presumably be this one, was built at the San Francisco shipyards, and they don't say if it was in orbit or if it was in atmosphere. But look, I guess if we can go to warp speed, I guess we have all of the resources to take a gigantic starship and move it from atmosphere up into orbit instead of just starting to construct it in orbit.
Well,
but
say
I'm
what you will
what
about the rest of the series.
Nerd I am right now, so I think I should probably hop off this train of thought.
Voyager is about the same size as the original Enterprise, and it has landing gear.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for them.
Oh, snap. All right, the next question from our chat is once again Star Trek related, which is any funny or awkward stories that happened on the set of Next Generation.
I have enough to fill a book, and that book is called Just a Geek by Wil Wheaton.
Fantastic.
Now, actually, Will, while you're talking about...
Actually, the more serious answer to that is yes, I do. I write about them when I do my reviews of Next Generation for TV Squad.
Which are fantastic.
For people who are unfamiliar with that, I look back on I am looking back on Next Generation in chronological order, beginning with the pilot, and I am reviewing and recapping the episodes and sharing behind-the-scenes memories. And for me, the entire experience is very much like looking at photographs from high school and telling the person next to me, I can't believe I ever thought that was cool. So they're a little sarcastic and they're a little snarky, but it's sort of like, I can pick on my little brother, but nobody else can. That's part of the point of view. But with each episode, I write a behind-the-scenes memory that is unique to that particular one, and share, sort of a little bit of what it was like to make that show come together.
Nice. Matt's going to ask the next question from our blog.
Yeah, the next question from our blog is one that I quite like, and it's relevant to your writing. One of our blog posters asks, I've got all of your books stashed away for my husband for Christmas. If you could control what order he opens them in, which would you have him open first?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, it always makes me really excited and a little embarrassed that someone thinks my book is worthy of being given as a gift. I think that's really awesome. So thank you for doing that. That's the neatest thing ever. The order, there are two different ways you can do it. You can read them chronologically, which means it would go Dancing Barefoot, Just a Geek, Happiest Days of Our Lives. Or you can, if the reader is less familiar with sort of the backstory, then you would read Just a Geek, Dancing Barefoot, Happiest Days of Our Lives. And I should point out that there is a special expanded edition, a limited expanded edition of Happiest Days of Our Lives, my most recent book, which was released about 18 months ago, coming out from Subterranean Press sometime in spring of next year.
And Will, you had some exciting news recently on your blog for people who had the older edition and might want to get access to those new stories.
Yeah, there was a discussion about this, and I was really hoping that people would be as excited about the special edition as I am. I found that public opinion was split about 70-30 in favor of people who were a little put off, like I had planned this all along, which I didn't do. This is really important to me that people understand this. When I did Happiest Days of Our Lives, it was just going to be what it is, and I was going to move on to the next thing. And Bill Schaefer, the publisher and owner of Subterranean Press, read it, liked it, and asked me if I would be willing to do a special edition with it. Why are you pointing at my head?
Sorry.
I guess that's crushing my head. Okay, so anyway, Bill said, would you like to do a special edition? And I said, yeah, but rather than just dress up the same book, let's make it really special. We'll add some things to it, and I thought, that will be cool. So people who buy it don't feel like, it's not about being a completist or a collector. There's actually a good reason to get it. And a couple of people commented on my blog that they thought that was sort of like, when you race out to buy the DVD from Lord of the Rings, and then they release the special edition, and then they release the double special edition, and then they release the really special edition, and then they release the super special, where we swear this till we do one more with an added interview edition, and it just feels like you're being sort of taken advantage of as a consumer. That was never my intention, and because as a consumer, I hate that. So I had to come up with a way to thank the people who have already supported me and bought my books and created this opportunity for this edition to even exist with Subterranean, and also have a way to kind of promote the book and promote the audio version of the book and hopefully get my work in front of a new audience. My big hope with the Subterranean edition of this book is that people who are not already familiar with my work, who are not already familiar with my blog, will be exposed to me as a writer rather than me as a guy who used to be on TV. And to do that, to accomplish all of those goals, I am going to record audio versions of the expanded edition material, the new stories that are going into the Subterranean Press edition, and I'm going to give them to Bill, and he's going to release them completely for free on the Subterranean website in a time and manner of his choosing. So what I'm hoping is that people who already have the book and don't want to or can't afford to get the new edition, they'll be able to hear the stories that they would otherwise be missing out on. And maybe people who aren't sure if this is something that they want or not will have a chance to listen to some of the material, and then they will be overwhelmed with a desire to go out and would you kindly buy all of my books?
And for those who've not seen Wil Wheaton live, I dragged Tally to your panel at Penny Arcade. She was like, "Who is this Wheaton guy?" And I'm like, no, we're going to this. And she proceeded to buy both your books and now wants to watch all of Star Trek. So.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. That panel ended up being a lot more fun. I was scared because I was really sick at PAX this year. I had had sinus surgery in February, and I was really close to the edge of when I can and can't make a big trip. And I got clearance from my doctor and then went to Seattle. And he said, this is right after the Olympics, and my doctor said, yeah, all these people came back to the United States from China, and we got all these crazy respiratory infections that people just haven't been exposed to. They were calling it the Olympic fever or Olympic flu or something silly like that. And he was like, oh yeah, Seattle, one of the main ports of entry, so I'm sure you picked up something by touching a railing in the airport. But I was really sick at PAX, and I didn't feel that I was 100%, and I didn't feel like my performance was as good as it could have been, and I didn't feel like I was 100% there in interacting with people, and I was a little disappointed in myself when the whole thing was over. But that particular show that I did there, the Wil Wheaton panel, it ended up going off a lot better than I thought it would.
Well, we all actually came back from PAX with horrible colds, so thanks.
Yeah, I was talking to Robert after the thing was over, and apparently, everybody got sick. You always get, we call it the con SARS, right?
Yeah.
Where you go to any show and you end up with all kinds of crud.
Yeah.
Apparently it was just really bad this year.
Yeah.
Except Major Nelson, who gloated on his blog about it afterwards.
Well, that's him. James, what other questions we got?
Yeah, but honestly, what else does Larry have going for him? I know everything. I'm sorry, my bad.
Okay, we got a lot more questions, but a couple more here. Mr. Wheaton, why aren't you up in Victoria taking a shift driving the bus? Are you chicken, or are you just simply smarter than everyone else in this room?
A little bit from column A and a little bit from column B.
Another question. How is it playing a serial killer that got totally owned by a truck on Criminal Minds?
It was really awesome. I wrote extensively about this on my blog. I kept a very detailed production diary that ended up, when the whole thing was done, was 18,000 words long. And it's all about that experience. But the encapsulated version of it is that it was really fun, and it was tremendously rewarding, and I hope that it goes a long way toward helping sort of modernize me in the minds of potential future employers who may be laboring under the mistaken impression that I'm still a teenager.
Awesome.
Which is weird, there are casting people who think that I'm younger than my son.
The beard helps.
The beard does help.
What's the next question? Yeah.
I
Matt.
thought you were a 12-year-old who had strapped a beard to his face.
That happens a lot.
The next question: if you had to drive an actual bus from Tucson to Las Vegas, and you could only bring one thing with you, what color would your socks be?
Oh man!
Why would you read that one?
You know,
supposed
my
to be-
socks would be the
we're supposed
rainbow
to be-
socks with toes in them.
We're supposed to be moderating the questions we're given.
Okay.
I mean, there was one in there about who would win between him and Hugh Jackman in a slap fight.
Yeah. I passed over that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I would win that one.
Yeah.
Jackman, I have very little to lose.
Yeah, and you know,
He has everything to lose.
is Hugh
And I
Jackman
have
here?
no
No,
incentive
because he doesn't care.
To not fight dirty.
Yeah.
I've got a good question.
Okay, I got another good question.
Will, do you prefer writing or acting more? Which one do you enjoy the most?
That's sort of like, this is something I spent a lot of time thinking about, and this is it's kind of like asking a parent, which one of your children do you love the most?
Ooh.
I love them both for different reasons, and each one of them is extremely important to me for different reasons. There was a time there where I was really struggling with it, and I felt like I had to kind of choose: was I going to be an actor or was I going to be a writer? And around the time that I did CSI, it was such a good time that I started to wonder, well, maybe I can do both of these things. And then I did Numbers, and that was kind of reminded me, like, started to remember some of the things that I really liked about being an actor, because for a long time, you know, a big part of being an actor is not acting. A big part of being an actor is going on auditions and being rejected. And when I have a family to support, a big part of being an actor becomes worrying about, you know, where's the next check coming from. So as a writer, I have a creative outlet, and I have a regular, reliable income. Working on Criminal Minds reminded me of all the things I love about being an actor, and how fun and how wonderful it is to be part of an ensemble cast that really loves the work that they're doing, and how good it feels to take words on a page and turn them into something memorable that you know really matters to people. So I love to do them both, but I love to do them both for very different reasons. And you know, I hope that I will never be faced with a choice of choosing between one or the other.
Nice.
Okay.
But I should say, whenever someone asks, you know, which one of your kids do you like better, you have an answer.
Just maybe keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you say, oh no, I love them both, but somewhere in the back of your head.
Well, you know, there's things where, like, I would rather play Frisbee with Nolan, but I would rather sit around and talk about physics with Ryan. It doesn't mean that I love one more. It just means that I do different things with them.
Fair enough. James, yeah.
If you could, would you ever return to doing Star Trek, or have you ever wanted to appear in any of the other series?
Well, I've learned that one should never say never, but I kind of feel like I've done everything that I can do with Wesley Crusher and with Star Trek. There's not a whole lot that is intriguing to me about revisiting that character. If there were a completely different character to play, or if Star Trek were more like the way I remember it, then maybe. But you know, it's not something that I'm aggressively pursuing, but it's also not something that I'm like, you know, working real hard to avoid.
Hopefully, if you ever had a chance to be in Star Trek again, they'd at least leave you visible in the full screen cut.
It would be nice.
More questions?
More questions.
Assuming you have time.
Yeah.
You know, you bugger off whenever you like.
All right, I'll be sure to do that.
Okay.
I've listened to your PAX keynote countless times and was just wondering, what did you do after you beat the song One?
You know, there are a few songs in the Rock Band and Guitar Hero catalog that upon completing them, you kind of want to go Pete Townsend on the guitar. either because you're so angry at that song because it wasn't a song that you played, it was a song that you survived, or because you are so deliriously filled with excitement that the best way to express that excitement is through the power of rock and roll inspired destruction. When I finished one, I think I massaged my forearm. When I had managed to beat that, it's like, and when I beat Greengrass and High Tides, the thing about that fucking song, man, is that you play it and then you play it and you play it and you play it and you fail between like 85 and 95% over and over and over and over again because they just managed to make it ridiculously hard for that one little section, So by the time it's over, it's almost like, am I out really? You sort of feel like the guy at the end of Midnight Express, You're walking down the street and you see that bus coming towards you and you don't know, like, are they going to take me back into the Turkish prison? Am I really out? Maybe that's just me.
James, what else we got on the blog there?
A lot of it is junk. I like this one though. How would you feel about another role in the Loading Ready Run sketch during the charity dinner?
Well,
I would do that in a second. I had a good time doing that last year. That was really fun.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
There'll be about 5 of us there, so we'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
We did not ask that question either.
We did not.
That wasn't the plan.
A lot of this is random questions.
I want to make sure we ask you questions that are worth your while.
Does anybody in the room have a question?
I was going to ask that. Will, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. We've reached that part of the interview.
I've been tuning in and tuning out kind of over the course of the last day and a half.
So have we.
I'm sorry, almost 2 days now.
Yeah.
And I see the room fill up, and I see the room sort of thin out. I've been watching. I get this thrill, when I see the viewer count on the driver cam go up. I'm like, yay, people are watching you and supporting you. It's super awesome. When you guys did this last time, there weren't really any expectations, right?
Yeah.
No.
But there's definitely expectations this year. How does that change it for you?
It's changed it a bit. I mean, we were not really sure about, whether we had struck, whether we'd struck something special last year, or if I'm talking, I should probably. We weren't sure, if we'd like hit something special last year, and if that was going to be a one-time thing, or if the novelty had worn off, especially since. I don't want to say that we started something, but there have been a lot of video game marathons raising money for Child's Play since then, which is absolutely fantastic. But we're sort of like, are people going to be marathoned out? Also, the whole economy thing, which, according to Kristen Lindsay from Child's Play, who we were talking to, said people are actually being more generous this year to charities because of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, which is fantastic. But yeah, we were, can we, do you think we can beat last year? So that's why we left our goal the same, $5,000 we did last year, which, thanks to low tax, we beat before we even started busing. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why Paul made his bet with the internet that if we beat last year's total, he'll shave his beard off, which is looking more and more likely as this continues.
Paul's beard's gone.
Do you have beard shavers remorse, Paul?
Yeah, I think I probably should have made it a higher number. Yeah.
Wait. Sorry. Our dinner is phoning. Just one.
Oh, well, allow me to hold on while I'll just watch you while you talk to someone.
Okay, just a second. Oh, missed them.
Oh.
Does that mean you don't get to eat?
Presumably they'll phone back in a moment. At least I hope they do.
We can call them back.
Yeah, we can.
Well, if they call.
We can phone them back.
Is it one of those situations where they call when they're at the door and I can just go out and wait for them?
No, they don't deliver.
We have to go pick it up.
Do you have a number?
Is it true that you guys have the only working phone in Victoria right now?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, just one moment. Everyone be quiet. I'm going to put them on the speaker. Hello?
Hi, Bay Street Subway calling. Your order is ready.
Fantastic. We'll send someone right over.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
That's good radio.
Done and done.
I have no idea where the Bay Street Subway is.
It's the one by the Wendy's.
Sorry, Will?
In the same
That's
complex
the subway
as
on
Wendy's.
Bay Street, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, even Wil Wheaton knows where it is.
Wil Wheaton
Right
knows where it is.
right next to the armory.
So you, sorry, what was the question you asked? We have the only working which?
I was just wondering if it was true that you had the only working phone in all of Victoria.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the only working
That's
phone.
what I heard.
Yeah, it's
We paid a lot of money for this. trade a lot of oxen.
Yeah. It's tough up here in Canada.
We're on an island here, eh? So, you know, it's hard, it's hard for stuff to come over.
I've seen the map.
Yeah.
We have to import it by dog sled.
We actually had, for the calling in, we had this whole system set up with Skype and getting a whole thing going where we could feed 2 different audio channels into the same thing, and then people could hear us and feed it all through the computer. And it worked fine when we tested it. Worked beautifully. And then once we actually did it for real while we were broadcasting, it was the person on the phone would say something and then listen to what they had said and then hear our response. And it was really bad for everyone. There was this feedback issue.
It's like the old days of satellite telephone. If you had to call in, back in the old days, if I had to, sometimes I would do call-ins to network news shows in the days before regular stuff. And I would call in on the satellite, and there would be that horrible delay where you would hear yourself. And trying to do that, especially if they were trying to do stuff that was funny, you know, where timing is so important with comedy, and that like half-second delay just made everything not funny. And either made it really not funny or it made it really surreal. But no matter what, like I always ended up looking like an asshole.
You just sit there looking like an idiot while it's going. Yeah.
I just wanted to briefly mention, speaking of the view count on the driver cam with people supporting us and everything. Last year we had, I'd say, an average of around 300 people watching at all times. This year it's been fluctuating between 400 and 500 at all times.
Yeah.
Our peak, though, the highest viewers we've had is about 650, and that's right now. So
thanks to you.
That's thanks to you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I would just like to encourage all of these 650 viewers to maybe go scrounge around and collect, you know, a couple of dollars worth of change or bills or tradable items and hit that donate button and make a contribution. The power of small, you know, we learned down here in America in our last election is that the power of great numbers of people making very small contributions to things can have a tremendous and really, you know, great net effect. So if this wonderful tete-a-tete we've enjoyed together is in any way able to, you know, to help pour in money toward the total, I will feel that my mission has been accomplished.
Indeed. Is there any other questions for Will, or as well any other questions for us, or?
I had a question, and that's that we have we got a bunch of bags of prizes right now.
Oh yes, courtesy of EB Games Canada, we have some bags of video game related swag.
Oh, that's very nice of them.
Yeah, it is.
And we were thinking that it would be neat if we could come up with a way to give one of them to someone watching right now. But we thought maybe you would have some ideas about how we could give one away to people watching at the moment.
Oh, you thought wrong. It turns out that I'm bad at that sort of thing.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
fine.
why don't you move the pimp hat onto a random person and then give the prize to the first person who correctly identifies the wearer of the pimp hat?
The which?
Pimp hat.
Put the pimp hat on some random person.
So we'll just kind of random.
So on who?
A random person, and the first person who says that person's name in the chat.
There.
All right.
Okay.
Who is that?
Is someone watching the chat?
So you clearly can't give it to Paul.
No. Who's got? Is he even on camera?
Yeah,
Not yet.
People are guessing me because I was.
No.
Now they're guessing randomly.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
No.
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 This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Kate got it.
Kate got it. It's Raymond.
Hey.
It's a dark horse.
Thanks, Will. That was awesome.
So if he could send his contact info to the contact at desertbus.org, and then we'll send him
That's which bag? Bag 6?
bag 7, isn't it?
I gave away bag 7 last time.
Bag 6.
Then 6. Among other things, that has a download code for Banjo-Kazooie, so congratulations there.
Bag 1.
So, was there anything else, or? No? Looks like, all right. Well, thank you very, very much for calling in and joining us today.
Hey, it was totally my pleasure to come in and help out. I think it's really awesome that you guys are doing this, and it's a wonderful way. I'm glad that long after Jack Thompson has been sent to the bottom of the ocean in a cement box, that we gamers continue to prove that the things he said about us and the things people who agree with him said about us could not be further from the truth. What you guys are doing is just super, super awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all at Child's Play dinner.
Whoa.
Great. Well, we'll
See you there.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
well,
thanks.
Drive carefully.
Yeah, we will.
Cheers, Will.
We'll be here till Wednesday.
All All right, I'll be sure to check back with you as the miles roll by.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
All right, I'll see you guys soon.
See ya.
Bye, Will.
Bye.
Turn on the volume on this.
So who went to get the food?